There has been a lot of consternation in the right-wing Twitter sphere, or X sphere, or whatever you want to call it, of representatives being less enthusiastic about getting to these permanent DOGE cuts. We knew that they were coming sooner or later from the White House, and we got word earlier today, I believe, from the budget director, Ross Vaught, that it's coming, and it's coming soon. Take a look at this from Larry Kudlow's show on, I believe this is Fox Business.
Rumor has it that we got a big rescission package, an Elon Musk DOGE rescission package coming up. Can you confirm it?
I can. We'll be sending that up on Monday or Tuesday whenever the House is back in session. They will get our first rescissions bill. And again, this has been proposed, and we've talked about it. We want to make sure that Congress passes its first rescissions bill, including the DOGE, and we will send more if they pass it. And so this is the first one is foreign aid, USAID cuts, many of the waste and garbage that was funding not only wasteful but hurting our foreign policy, but also the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and NPR. We'll be sending that up, and we're working with Congress, and we've had good conversations to make sure that they knew what was coming. They had some input as to changes that could be made to make it something that could pass the House, and we're excited for that to occur next week.
So next week, early next week, it looks like we're going to be getting the first of these rescission bills. Now, Coffee Grinder in the chat actually kind of let the cat out of the bag about why this hasn't come up before, that DOGE cannot be included in the big, beautiful budget submitted by the Trump administration. I'm going to turn now to, let me see if I can work the buttons right here. Nope, that's the wrong button. We're going to go to this button here, and we're going to share my screen because Stephen Miller had a pretty good explanation for everybody out there about why the bill couldn't include these DOGE rescissions. So you see there on the screen the tweet from Stephen Miller. DOGE cuts are to discretionary spending, for example, the federal bureaucracy. Under Senate budget rules, you cannot cut discretionary spending, only mandatory spending, in a reconciliation bill. So DOGE cuts would have to be done through what is known as a rescissions package or an appropriations bill. The big, beautiful bill, or the budget, as I alluded to earlier, is not an annual budget bill and does not fund the departments of government. It does not finance our agencies or federal programs. Instead, it includes the single largest welfare reform in American history, along with the largest tax cut and reform in American history, the most aggressive energy exploration in American history, and the strongest border bill in American history, all while reducing the deficit. So, advertisement notwithstanding, the DOGE cuts had to be submitted in this rescissions package. That's why it has taken up to this point to get this into Congress.
I get what he's saying, right? Let's just look back in history a little bit. Obamacare was passed through reconciliation. The parliamentarian is the one who decides what the Senate rules mean, and the majority can overrule the parliamentarian, right? So I'm not buying it. If you caught what Russ Vaught was saying, he said, we're going to submit this first package, and if it gets approved, we'll be submitting more. It's not going to get approved. You're not going to get 60 votes in the Senate. You're probably not even going to get a majority in the House, right? So none of those DOGE cuts are going to get codified. That's it. Unless the Republicans grow a set of balls and shut down the government, right? Don't pass any spending bill. F it. We will shut down the government.
So you want to play chicken?
I'm not even playing chicken. I've said this for years. Shut the government down. We have a majority. What deals are the Democrats making? When did they cross the aisle on anything?
I'm not disagreeing with you on this point. I say Senate rules have changed so much in the past couple of years. Why is this a Senate rule that can't be changed by a majority vote? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Of course it can. The parliamentarian is the one that deciphers the rules. Obamacare, they decided, wasn't mandatory spending back then, and they passed that on a simple majority. So we need to do the same thing that they do, but we are never willing to do it. This is why we will never win, right? I'm telling you, If Trump doesn't run again in 2028, the party's over.
Well, we're going to put this question out to the chat because we got a lot of friendly faces in there talking right now. Love to get some of their thoughts on this topic. Should balls go to the wall right now? Should one of the two suggestions we're talking about here is changing the rules of the Senate to allow this to go forward on a simple majority. The other one is to hold out and shut down the government until such time as Democrats are willing to come to the table. My issue with the shutdown is that Democrats badly played the last shutdown. And I think they'd be less willing to go along to get along the way that Chuck Schumer was last time around. I don't know if that's a real option.
Why not? And what? First of
all, because I think that they'll be more dug in than they were before. Chuck Schumer got embarrassed during the last shutdown, and I'm wondering if he would be a little more hardline and make that go on longer than it would be useful for the Republicans to do it.
There's a real easy way to not have to shut down the government. Eliminate the filibuster, right? They're going to do it to us. I say this every time this comes up. They're going to do it to us. Eliminate the filibuster. You can't run, Gene, and our side does this. So does the left. They run on the term Donald Trump is an existential threat and fill in the blank to democracy, to women's rights, to the environment, whatever you want to fill in the blank. Then our side runs on deficit spending is an existential threat to the republic. So if it's truly an existential threat, like America can literally cease to exist if we don't fix this, eliminate the filibuster and balance the budget, or at least make headway into some of the DOGE cuts.
So here is where I'm confused a little bit, and I want to get a little guidance from you, pal. You mentioned, deficit spending. Even if we were to implement, let's say, every single DOGE cut that we have right now, would I be correct in saying that would only slow down deficit spending and not necessarily stop it? There would still be some deficit spending. It just wouldn't be at the same rate as it was last year, right?
You're 100% right. But the big, beautiful bill that the House is touting and why it stands no chance in the Senate is that they claim it saves $1.5 trillion over 10 years. That is $150 billion a year, which is a drop in the bucket when you're talking about a $36 trillion debt, right? It's only going to, it's still going to go up, but it's going to go up 1.5 trillion less. We're $2 trillion in deficit spending every year. So we're not even like saving 1 year over 10 years, right? If it's an existential threat, we have to do something, or it's not. And then we need to stop saying that.
Right. And to me, the plan was always you couldn't just cut spending. You also had to increase revenue, which was the purpose of the tariffs as well, was to increase certain revenue coming not from Americans in raising taxes, but coming from foreign actors and getting more money out of them without a crazy price hike on consumers. So it was supposed to be a little from column A, a little from column B, some from column C, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like this is a tightrope that they're walking here. And it sounds like to me what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, is that the Trump administration will fall from the tightrope unless there are some drastic changes made within the procedures of the legislature that the GOP majorities have to give to the Trump administration in order to get this agenda moving forward.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, our biggest problem with the Republican Party, the Republican Party has a lot of problems, right? But it's your neck of the woods. The New York delegation of so-called Republicans are actually the worst, right? They pressured Donald Trump into giving a tax break to millionaires. How? They were going to raise the SALT deduction to $40,000, state and local taxes. How many people listening here pay $40,000 worth of state and local taxes, right? You have to be making a pretty good amount of money to pay that much, right? And then the rest of the country is subsidizing you because you live in a state that is not good with their money, right? So that tax break is going to very rich people in blue states.
And then add on top of that during the vote on the big, beautiful bill, my member of Congress, Andrew Garbarino, was the one who fell asleep and didn't vote.
We really had 217 votes this morning. Andrew Garbarino did not make it in time. He fell asleep in the back. No kidding. I know. I'm going to just strangle him. But but he's my dear friend.
Let's say the Senate comes to its senses and they're able to get rid of the filibuster or suspend the rules that are necessary in order to get to a simple majority on this. Do they then have the balls to vote for it, or will there still be some consternation coming from the GOP?
Now, Gene, that was the smartest take I've heard, because I agree with you. I think I agree with you. As much as I want to see them grow a spine and do these things,
they're still going to bitch and moan.
Even if they mustered the courage to do it, it still wouldn't pass because there are so many Republicans that won't vote for it. Even if they got rid of the filibuster, it wouldn't pass because they're all talk and no action. Think about this. We just talked about $1.5 trillion over 10 years. The DOD in this new big, beautiful bill, the Department of Defense, they're going to get $1 trillion a year, right? And I get it. Trump ran on rebuilding the military. He wants to do the Golden Dome over the United States and possibly Canada if they become the 51st state. And I'm all for all that stuff. But other than Donald Trump, the Republican Party supposedly now is the party of the working class. Okay. So other than Trump himself, what has the Republican Party done for us? Not recently, in the past. What do you think they're going to do in the future? My answer is nothing. They've done nothing. They do nothing. We're 6 months in, just about. Right?
You know what they're doing? They are riding the coattails of Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
But those coattails end, Gene, unless the joke comes true and he runs for another term, which obviously he can't, right? Those coattails are gone. And we're going to see that in the midterms. Without Donald Trump on top of that ticket and with the Republicans not doing a damn thing, I don't think we're going to do well in the midterms, and rightfully so, honestly.
I tend to agree with the fear that without Donald Trump steering the Republican Party, which, by the way, under his stewardship, he's getting union endorsements. He's getting support from working class Americans, the people that are forgotten by the fringe Democrats, everyone in flyover country that would normally just support us because they have no other alternative. They're doing so enthusiastically now. So I agree with you on that. And the clock is ticking on a Republican emerging that can pick up that standard bearer with the same force of personality that Donald Trump has. And, you know, some people say it might be J.D. Vance. Some people say it might be DeSantis. I don't see a deep bench for an executive that will carry that out at this point. I share your concerns, pal.
Let me just clarify my point. Because although I agree with everything you said, I'm not looking for the next cult of personality to take Donald Trump's place, right? Because my larger point is that the Republican Party is useless. So it doesn't matter. Donald Trump could literally become king, and it won't matter because the Congress, I mean, king is in like staying in office forever, but obviously we have a legislative body and courts. If they don't change the law and they don't cut spending and they don't codify the cuts that DOGE recommended, then what is the point of all this, right? I love Donald Trump. It's funny watching him on TV. I feel like I'm watching, wrestling like back in the day. It's just very entertaining, and I can live with that. I was very happy that he got reelected, and if nothing else, I'll be entertained for a few more years. But after this, I don't care if another Donald Trump emerges. The Republican Party's useless. They get nothing done.
And you know what the crazy thing is? We got them right where we want them. Democrats are in disarray. There is no real leadership. The old guard of leadership, as you pointed out in previous shows, they're fit to get dethroned at this point. I mean, there's talk here in the People's Republic of New York of AOC primarying Chuck Schumer, and in a recent poll, she's in the lead. The old guard is about to go down, and the Democratic Party is about to lurch further to the left. This is the perfect opportunity for Republicans to finally consolidate that power, get on board for real with this populist movement that we have going on, and then they'll be able to write their own ticket for not only the next 2 years, but maybe the next 6 to 10 years after that. It's the short-sightedness here is ridiculous. We've got a comment here from the Coffee Grinder, one of our new faves around here, along with our old faves. By the way, I love all my children equally, so calm down. I do believe to eliminate the filibuster forever takes a vote of 2/3 of the Senate to do it. Fact check me, please. Mr. Galloway, you're an expert on this. Go right ahead.
Fact check. Simple majority to change a rule in the Senate. And that's why the Democrats opened this door, because they used to use filibusters for even federal judges, right? And then the Democrats got rid of it. And then the Republicans eventually got rid of it for Supreme Court justices, because Democrats always vote party line. And we were in danger of not being able to approve a single judge when, if we didn't have 60 votes in the Senate, which we almost never will. Okay, so yeah, it's a simple majority. And the Democrats have a long history of going nuclear when they really want to get something passed. So my point has always been, why wouldn't we? We claim these things are existential. The other thing I just want to say, Gene, real quick about the Republican Party, right? It's so upsetting now because the things that people want today, I always say Donald Trump's not like a super conservative guy, right? He's right of center, but he's really center. We're not, if you looked at the Republican Party 20 years ago, the hardcore right was thinking about like things like gay marriage and banning abortions, not like just overturning Roe v. Wade. Right now, we've taken a more moderate approach where nobody's really talking about gay marriage anymore. Abortions are just up to the states, right? So we're not asking them for those hardcore conservative Christian right-wing things. We're asking for like real simple stuff, man. You say you're a fiscal conservative, and now the majority of the country kind of believes in that stuff. So where are they? They can't even do that. So what is the point?
That's right. And for backfill on your previous point, I always have this bookmarked in every browser I have. Senator Harry Reid, after doing what they call the nuclear option when it came to those federal appointments that you were talking about, November 21st, 2013, thanks to all of you who encouraged me to consider filibuster reform, it had to be done. We're at that moment again, in my opinion. Pandora's box has already been opened. It was opened in 2013. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue to go forward in that respect, or at least do something like suspend the rules for this particular issue and for this particular bill. They might be able to do that as well. It's been a while since I looked up my Senate rules, but be that as it may, there are options out there. If the GOP, and I'm not talking about Trump, I'm talking about the GOP, because there needs to be a distinction between the two. The GOP has an opportunity to finally put their money where their mouth is, and we need to hold their feet to the fire. If you like that clip from our new show, Behind Enemy Lines, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, and tune in live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.